shave. And I'm asking him, so what are you going to do today? What are you going to learn today? You know, what are you going to play at recess? And then he says to me,
I told Mommy she shouldn't kiss Uncle Stelios on the lips. She should only kiss you on the lips. And she told me to mind my own business.
I felt like I had been electrocuted. So I wiped the shaving cream off my face. I went into the bedroom. She was sleeping, and I kicked the bed. And she says, what? I said,
Who the fuck is Stelios?
She said, where did you hear that name? I said, who is he? And then she said, don't believe everything.
A 6-year-old says.
And I said, I'm going to leave before I do something
That I'm gonna regret for the rest of my life.
And so I got in the car and I went to work. And that afternoon, she started calling me, like calling me every 5 seconds. And I just would let it go to voicemail. Finally, the secretary came into my office and she said, John, your wife's on the phone and she's crying. I said, yeah, she should be crying. And she said, no.
She was in a car accident and she's injured.
And I was like, for God's sake. So she was calling my phone again, so I picked it up and I said, what? And she said, I got in an accident and I'm injured and the kids are crying. And so I drove up to the accident scene and the car she was first in a left-hand turn lane to make a left. There was a guy 5 cars back.
Greeks are very impatient drivers.
She went to make the left. He came from the back and just T-boned her and pushed the car up onto the sidewalk and demolished it, and she broke her wrist, and it was a big mess. So I go up there and get out of my car, my fully armored, BMW 540 with, my 2 guns. And I said to him, what happened here? And he gets all excited. He says, your wife, inabutana.
She's a whore.
I said, my wife is a whore? And then he was in a coma for quite a while, 3 days.
Oh, you had that built up.
Any other day,
Yeah.
I would have let it go.
Yeah.
Any other day. So I got arrested.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, and I said, look, I have diplomatic immunity. So, I'm sorry, I'm wrong, I admit I'm wrong, but I have diplomatic immunity. And they're like, okay, just sit in the cell. They left the cell door open and they let me
Keep my gun, which was nuts.
But then they brought me in and the guy, he was clearly concussed. He hadn't yet kind of, faded out. That was at the hospital later, but he was sitting there in a chair and he's just like, you could see like the
Birds tweeting, but from the cartoons.
And he says to me, so what happened? So I told the story. And then this is the police captain for the whole station. And he says to the guy, is that true? You called his wife a whore? And he said, yes, we got in an accident. She yelled at me. I called her a whore. I did not know that.
It is a crime to call a man's wife a whore in Greece.
And so they charged him.